our public debt. 2, to settling recurrent expenditure in our country. And it has been said it will not go to pay salaries. And payment of salaries is important. Repayment of our debt is important. But as those in the executive have committed, the people to make sure that that is not done is us in the legislature by offering meaningful oversight. Therefore, those in the Budget and Appropriations Committee, I know you'll be invited and you'll be inviting us to consider appropriating part of the resources, or rather wholly the resources that will come into the consolidated fund out of the divestiture process. We must ensure that these monies get to where the monies were destined to go to, and will not go into settling any recurrent expenditure or even settling part of our public debt. And that's why I joined my colleague and brother, Honorable Robert Bui, and also inviting you together collectively, because I know Honorable Mbui spoke as a leader of minority. But as a house, we have a collective duty and responsibility in line with our constitution to oversight the executive. And I want to invite all of us to offer that meaningful oversight together. Honorable Speaker, notably 22 bills that were not concluded during the 4th session were exempted from the provisions of Standing Order 141-2 of the National Assembly Standing Orders on lapsing of bills, and therefore those 22 bills did not lapse at the end of the last session and will be further considered in the 5th session. This include, among others, the petitions to Parliament Procedure Amendment Bill of 2022, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill of 2024, and the Pensions Amendment Bill of 2024. I believe this is the Makali Mulu Pensions Amendment Bill, and other priority legislative proposals on governance, economic management, and social policy. I therefore want to urge honorable members to approach this outstanding business with renewed commitment so that the House may conclude its work efficiently and responsibly to advance the interests of the Kenyan people. And I want to believe that those of us who sit in the House Business Committee, we will indeed work to prioritize part of this pending business so that it's quickly considered at the beginning of this session. In scheduling business for the 5th session, I implore you to leverage this opportunity to also identify priority areas of high impact to the citizenry and advance appropriate legislation and interventions through motions and other House instruments. Some areas of interest are included in this retreats program and pave way for focused deliberations on key national and governance issues, including the regulation and financing of political parties, and we had John Cox is here from the ORPP, election preparedness, the state of the economy, implementation of the competency-based education curriculum, and I'm happy to note that in the program, the CS National Treasury, CS Education will be joining us tomorrow or the day after. The status of healthcare service delivery, CS Aden Duale and his team will be here. And the way forward with respect to the National Government Constituencies Development Fund, NGCDF, which I want to believe you all have a deep interest in. In conclusion, Honorable Speaker, allow me to borrow from the words in the Holy Book, Psalms 133, that says, "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity." And allow me to reiterate the power of collective intelligence, that when diverse voices are heard, independent judgment is respected, and decisions are anchored in the common good. Institutions inevitably make wiser and more enduring choices. The strength of this House does not rest in any one member or any one individual, but in our collective resolve to deliberate with honesty, decide with prudence, and always act in the best interests of the people that we represent, the people of Kenya. Honorable members, this retreat therefore presents a timely platform for reflection, candid engagement, and consensus building on critical matters of concern to the Kenyan people. Let us approach this task with purpose, and a shared commitment to the mandate entrusted to us by the people. And I wish you all very fruitful deliberations, and thank you for lending me your ears. And with that, Honorable Speaker, it will now be my singular honor and pleasure to now invite the very right honorable, since Honorable Junet was right honorable, the very right honorable Speaker of the National Assembly, Senior Counsel, and our leader in the National Assembly, the Honorable Speaker Moses Masika Wetangula. Karibu uongee na jeshi lako.
Asante sana. Asante sana, Mheshimiwa Ichung'wah. Happy New Year, honorable members. Karibu sana Naivasha, Nakuru County, the county where women rule. The only county with a woman governor, a woman senator, and 4 elected women members of parliament. Is there any other county with that? It is also a county where I first worked in my employment. As a magistrate, I was posted to Nakuru in October 1982. And I worked very well with the leadership here. Honorable members, welcome to this retreat, a retreat that brings us together at a time when this parliament is on home stretch. Before I say anything, allow me to acknowledge part of our leadership. We have members of the Parliamentary Service Commission, Honorable Faith Gitau, Commissioner, Honorable Mishimbogo, Commissioner. We have Honorable Rachel Ameso, Commissioner, and we have apologies from the Honorable Patrick Makau, Muhammad Ali. Okongo Mogeni will be here with us on Thursday to make a presentation. Honorable Matinga, Senator of Nyeri, apology, and Honorable Mudama. We also have the members from among you who assist the Speaker in the discharge of his duties. My distinguished deputy, Honorable Gladys Boss, is here. Honorable Mother Wangari is here. Honorable David Ocheng is here. Honorable Peter Opondo Kaluma is here. And Honorable Rachel Nyamai is here. Is Omboko Milemba in the house? And Farah Maalim, I'm sure they'll be joining us. If you look at your program, you'll see, for abundance of caution, the clerk and his team put yours truly as chairing all the sessions, simply because he didn't know who of my panelists will be here, being a recess period, and since some members had not confirmed attendance. So in the course of the meetings, they will be called upon to assist in chairing the sessions. Honorable members, allow me to acknowledge the presence of Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, our majority leader, Honorable Robert Mbui, sitting in for Junet Mohammed, the Vice chairpersons and chairpersons of all committees of the House, honorable members, the clerk of the Assembly, Samuel Njoroge. We're expecting the chairperson of IEBC. I don't know if Ethicon is here yet. The Registrar of Political Parties, John Cox. Chief Executive Officer, National Government Constituency Development Fund Board, Bwanambuno, is he here? Senior parliamentary officers who have been introduced to you, distinguished resource persons, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable members, I welcome you here to this retreat with the theme, Securing Parliamentary Legacy, Delivering the fifth session's agenda and preparing for transition. Obviously, when we talk of preparing for transition, then it brings you to remember what Chinua Achebe said, that all women feel very uncomfortable when dry bones are mentioned in a proverb. So as it is now, when we talk of transition, we keep asking ourselves, who is transiting? Is it me? Is it you? But the ideal situation is to wish each one of you well as we face the next general election. Honorable members, we meet here in Naivasha at a defining moment approximately 17 months before the next general election. As political activity inevitably intensifies, this retreat offers us an opportunity to pause, reflect, and refocus. It allows us to step away from the politics that now dominate public discourse and to remind ourselves of our enduring constitutional responsibility of legislation, oversight, and representation of the people of Kenya with dignity and purpose. Honorable members, as we move closer to the election cycle, we must also remain alive to the political environment that naturally accompanies such a period. Experience teaches us that as political temperatures rise, positions harden, and competition intensifies. These dynamics are inevitable in a democratic society, but they must never be allowed to erode the integrity, dignity, and collegiality of this House. As we vigorously joust on the political field outside the precincts of Parliament, when we return to the chamber and in our committees, let us treat one another with decorum, respect, and restraint expected of honorable members. The authority of this House rests not only in the laws we pass, but also in the conduct we exhibit. As legislators, always remember that parliaments are not judged solely by the number of laws they pass, but by the impact those laws have on the lives of the people and the strength of the institutions they leave behind. Our deliberations here must therefore be guided by purpose, responsibility, and foresight. We are securing the institutional legacy that we shall hand over to the next Parliament. Honorable members, as we reflect on the previous session, there is much to commend. Attendance in the House improved significantly. Quorum challenges in the last session were minimal, and the quality of debate was notably enhanced. Legislative and oversight business progressed steadily, and I therefore thank and commend all of you members for your commitment and seriousness of purpose. I wish to note with appreciation the marked improvement in the relationship between the National Assembly and the judiciary. This progress demonstrates that while the doctrine of separation of powers remains fundamental to our constitutional order, institutional independence does not mean institutional antagonism. And indeed, last year, when we had the leadership retreat in Mombasa, We also had a colloquium with the judiciary led by the Chief Justice, and those who are there saw how the camaraderie between the two institutions evolved and developed, and going forward, we hope that that is what it will be. Our respective mandates must continue to be exercised with mutual respect, dialogue, and restraint. A cooperative constitutional architecture strengthens democracy, promotes stability, and ultimately serves the interests of the Kenyan people. I therefore urge this House to continue engaging the judiciary and other institutions in a manner that is respectful, consultative, and anchored in the Constitution. Allow me, honorable members, to also acknowledge the presence in our midst of PS Aurelia Rono, the PS in charge of the State Department for Parliamentary Liaison, who we have invited to sit with us, and along the way she will be able to pick bits and pieces of some of the frustrations we go through in engaging some members of the executive. Honorable members, the preceding session also had its low moments. The loss of the former Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, was one such low moment. Agwambo, as he was fondly referred to, was a towering figure in Kenya's political history, whose life was devoted to public service, unity, and the advancement of our nation. His leadership, courage, and commitment to democratic ideals earned him admiration across generations and across party lines. As we remember the immense contributions he made to our country and to the parliamentary fraternity, let us honor his legacy and the values he stood for. Agwambo, as you know, was the only politician in this country, arguably, who fought a good political fight, respected the outcome, and patriotically made friendship with everybody that they had fought with. Many of you, I'm sure, back in your constituencies, hardly share a glass of water with your opponents. In the course of the fourth session, we also experienced profound sorrow following the passing on of 5 honorable members of parliament and several members of staff whose dedication to service will not be forgotten. The members who passed on were the Honorable William Kipkorir Cheptumo, former member of Baringo North and senator for Baringo, the Honorable Moses Malulu Injendi, former member for Malava, the Honorable Charles Ongondo Were, former member for Kasipul, the Honorable Mohammed Tubi Bidu, former member for Isiolo, and the Honorable Joseph Hamis Dena, former nominated member. The year was also sadly marked with the loss of former members of parliament, who include the Reverend Kennedy Odhiambo Nyagudi, the Honorable Ambassador John Koech, the Honorable Dr. Phoebe Muga Asio, the Honorable Catherine Mora Nyamato, the Honorable Delmas Anyango Otieno, the Honorable Francis Tome Nyamo, commonly known as FT Nyamo, the Honorable Enoch Wamalwa Kibunguchi, the Honorable Joseph Munyao, Order Honorable Aburi. If you are not keen to listen, there is a tent out there. The Honorable Joseph Munyao and the Honorable Cyrus Shahalaha Jirongo. Their passing on reminded us of the human side of public service, and thank you, Angela, and the Honorable Daniel Hamasi, who served for 2 terms and was also a member of the Parliamentary Service Commission and the Speaker's panel. Elijah Lagat, the athlete from Nandi, yes, we served with him. Dr. Misoi, did he pass on during this parliament? Yes, sorry, Njoroge James Nahwanga Osogo, yes, from Budalangi, and many more. May their souls rest in eternal peace. As we proceed with this retreat, let us also remember all our departed colleagues and pray that God, in His grace, preserves all of us and our families in the year ahead. Honourable members, oversight is a core pillar of our work, and this retreat devotes significant attention to economic oversight, budgetary processes, and governance reforms. The scheduled discussions on education reforms, healthcare, social security, the state of the economy, public debt, privatization, and the budget roadmap are intended to sharpen our scrutiny and improve the quality of our interventions. My attention has been drawn to a peculiar and concerning trend that has been exhibited in some of our committees. Whenever there has been a pending employment process within our public institutions, the heads of those institutions are repeatedly invited to appear before multiple committees on the same matter. While oversight is a constitutional duty of this House, it must be exercised without creating the perception of undue pressure or causing administrative paralysis. And I've directed the Deputy Speaker and her team of liaison to harmonize the manner in which members of the executive are invited to committees, because I get complaints where a PS or a minister is simultaneously invited to 3 committees of this House at the same time. And that is not right. It doesn't give us a very good name. For example, the Inspector General of Police and the Teacher Service Commission have on occasion been subjected to multiple summons over similar issues, with the reports and concerns subsequently escalating up to my office. I urge committees to coordinate their work and avoid duplication and ensure that oversight enhances governance and facilitates service delivery. And in this regard, honorable members, I wish to reiterate my guidance to audit committees, particularly PAC and PIC, to complete their work in good time. In the matter of audit committees, the constitutional timeline under Article 2298 for consideration and decision-making on the report of the Auditor General is 3 months of the tabling of the report in Parliament. This requires that committees work judiciously and expeditiously towards the conclusion of consideration and reporting. To comply with the 3 months constitutional timeline, I impress upon committees to explore use of written submissions to make decisions, refrain from inviting agencies with clean accounts and commend them, reduce rescheduling of meetings with ministries and agencies, and reprimand institutions that fail to appear in line with the provisions of the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act, and adopt a subcommittee model of considering audit reports. The splitting of the Public Investments Committee in this 13th Parliament was intended to improve efficiency. This must be adhered to so that we efficiently discharge our duties. We must not, for instance, insist on examining the accounts of every village secondary school and nondescript TVETs in the country when the record is expressed that there is no audit issue raised in respect of these institutions. Some of these institutions have very modest budgets, yet we deploy highly disproportionate resources to the examination of their audit reports. We must rethink our approach and focus on systemic issues by engaging the Auditor General and relevant ministries. Honorable members, I have told some of your colleagues before that I get a lot of complaints of some of us bullying members of the executive who appear before us, some of us constituting welfare officers in our committees, and all those kind of things, which I discourage you. I had a case where an institution came running. They had a very small audit query, which was explainable, of about 400,000, but the story around that was not a very good one for Parliament. Honorable members, succeeding parliaments have over the years expanded the number of committees to facilitate effective oversight. The current 44 committees have been bestowed with far-reaching mandates. Unfortunately, we must admit that some of our committees are yet to fully and meaningfully actualize their mandates. For example, the National Cohesion and Equal Opportunities Committee has a mandate that extends far beyond its perennial examination of employment practices in parastatals and state organs. While fairness in recruitment is important, such a committee must also address broader issues of national cohesion, inclusion, marginalization, ethnic harmony, and equal access to opportunities across the sectors of the society. A narrow interpretation of committee mandates diminishes their impact and effectiveness. Honourable members, permit me also to point out a few concerns with our budget-making process that, if addressed, will greatly assist us to effectively deliver on our mandate and continue to give our best to the citizens of this country. During the budget process, members place great emphasis on the estimates and numerical adjustments to the budget. Members' attention ought to be given to the underlying policy considerations that directly correspond to the estimates and figures. There is need to balance between the two. While proposing amendments to estimates, members should critically assess the broader impact of these decisions. Certain expenditure allocations are counterpart funding for critical projects, and reduction of such allocations may result in unintended adverse consequences, including loss of development funding for public projects. On the aspect of resourcing the counties, I would like to urge us to ensure that we are not the ones who would contribute less resources being allocated to the counties due to the failure by the Public Accounts Committee to examine the current accounts on time. The budget policy statement, which sets the ceilings for allocations of resources to the ministries, departments, and agencies of the national government, will be presented by 15th February 2026. I therefore encourage the PAC does endeavor to conclude its examination of the Auditor General's latest report before the PBS is considered by this House. On security, I am pleased to inform that the Integrated Security Management System, ISMS, has been installed and the project is almost complete. The components of the system installed so far have significantly enhanced safety within the parliamentary precincts. In addition, the training of members' bodyguards, as agreed in our retreat in 2025, has been done and will continue subject to availability of resources. And I urge even you members who bear firearms to undertake refresher firearm security training to ensure both their safety and the safety of those around you. Honorable members, this retreat also places a strong emphasis on institutional reforms, members' welfare, and post-service transition. I am pleased to report continued progress in the entrenchment of the post-service medical scheme to members of Parliament. The rules and guidelines of the scheme have been promulgated. In addition, the Board of Trustees has approved by the House, and the board members have been fully inducted into office, and Honorable T.J. Kajwang is the chair of the Board of Trustees. I am pleased to note that the scheme, being largely contributory, is now fully operational, with all members making their monthly contributions and this is a major achievement in safeguarding members' welfare beyond active service. Members, any of you who may not be contributing, please do contribute. We've made it compulsory for your sake, because we know what it means when you go out there and you have nowhere to turn. The sessions on pensions members' facilities, security and transition planning reflect our recognition that public service must be dignified both during and after tenure. We are not strangers to the fact that political attrition is an unavoidable reality, and the resultant consequence of that is exit from parliament, which comes with diminished earnings. Yesterday, I was chairing a committee on pensions, and an actuarial report shows that on the average, our attrition rate is 56%. So as we sit here, at least 56% will not see the inside of parliament next parliament. And we want to make sure that there must be life, and good life, after you leave parliament, so that you can be covered health-wise. And to this end, I want to urge, and I've discussed this with the majority leader, we have had 4 pension amendment bills. One sponsored by the Honorable Member for Sirisia, one sponsored by the Honorable Member for Kimilili, and one by the member for Imendi Central, and the more important one by the member for Kitui Central, the Honorable Makali Mulu, which he actually inherited from another member. Who was the member who brought it? Mwadime, the current governor of Taita Taveta. I have painstakingly gone through this bill with the Honorable Makali Mulu, the Pensions Committee, actuarial advice, management of parliament, and the treasury representation. We have cleaned it up. It's, in my opinion, and my opinion is always a good opinion, it is a very good bill for you. It is going to resurrect the fortunes of people like Wanjala, who served parliament, left, and came back. We have members out there like the Honorable Jimmy Angwenyi, the Honorable Wanyonyi, who served parliament for 2 terms, left and came back and served another 2 terms, and the current law does not recognize one of the 2 terms. So they only get pension for 2 terms. This bill now harmonizes this. This bill respects the term you have served in parliament, and Sunguli is one of those who served, left, and came back. It will be able to help all the cumulative period you have been in parliament mean something to your pension. So I want to encourage you. Jane Kihara is also one of those who came, left, and came again. We want to encourage you to give it priority, for the simple reason that this bill that touches on your welfare, if you leave it towards elections, it will become an electoral issue against you. So the sooner you pass it, the better. And I want to encourage Ichungwa and your team to put it on the front burner. And you get to parliament and pass it and wait to benefit from the process. I want to encourage you to give a round of applause to members who serve with me, Dan Wanyama, Honorable Kashove, and Honorable Ariko. Can you stand to be acknowledged? Those are the members of the Pensions Committee. And of course, Honorable Makali Mulu, who has been a constructive member of the committee. And I assure you, members, last night we sat with these members from 4 to 9:30 to clean up this bill for you. So the job is now in your court. Honorable members, as was alluded to by the leaders of majority and minority parties during the 4th session, The House passed several critical laws to strengthen governance, protect our economy, and respond to emerging national challenges. Members will recall that during the last session, Section 6 of the Kenya Roads Board Act and Section 47 of the Kenya Roads Act, which underpin the financing and classification of roads across the country, were invalidated by the courts. Apart from appealing the decision as a House, we did pass the Kenya Roads Amendment Bill 2025, sponsored by the House Legislative Caucus to address the issue. The bill was forwarded to the Senate on 21st October 2025 and is awaiting consideration. You all agree with me that the importance of the bill to the financing of road infrastructure cannot be gainsaid. I would urge that all of us utilize our good offices to ensure the prioritization and passage of this bill. Members will also recall that Parliament enacted the Conflict of Interest Act 2025. In sections 31 and 34 of the law, we obligated all state and public officers to declare their income, assets, and liabilities regularly and in timely manner. I am informed that as at this morning, approximately 60% of members have duly filled in and submitted their wealth declaration forms. I wish to remind us that the failure to comply with this law attracts penal consequences. For those members yet to comply, please move with speed and complete the forms and furnish them with the Speaker's office. You know, the original law was that these declarations you make were to be domiciled elsewhere. And you, as truly as your Speaker, in my infinite wisdom, told you that domiciling such an important document about a member of Parliament outside Parliament is tantamount to giving a weapon against members of Parliament to possible detractors. Because in politics, the difference between heroism and being a villain is skin deep. The hero of today is the villain of tomorrow. And domiciling those documents anywhere else opens them to a possibility of opening them secretly, doctoring them, forging them, and using them against you. So those documents will be forever domiciled in Parliament. And anybody who wants to look at them must do so with cogent explanation and believable reasons that will convince Mr. Speaker to allow the documents to be looked at. Probably you have committed a serious criminal offense that requires to look at your documents. We'll evaluate it. You can now see the wisdom in not allowing those documents to be kept by the police or to be kept by ESCC or any other agency. Because when governments change, it's like policemen on a straight line walking and being cheered on left, right, left, right. When you say about turn, number one becomes the last, and the last becomes number one. And that is how governments change and work. Honorable members, as I go towards my end, the 15th Yala Interparliamentary Games held in the Republic of Uganda from 7th to 17th December 2025 was a notable event from the past year that highlighted the importance of health, fitness, and general well-being. I want to salute our teams, the Honorable Senior Counsel Otienda Molo, Honorable Kawaya, and our team leaders. You did not visit on your speaker the humiliation you did in Mombasa. This time around, you played well, you won medals, and you emerged the overall best team. Hongera sana. You remember how I sat in Mombasa helplessly watching Uganda take each and every trophy as we cheered on. This time round, you did very well, and congratulations. And Parliament will continue supporting these games because it is a process of integrating the East African region, and the best way is to bring legislators and representatives of the people together. Honorable members, as I conclude, this retreat is not merely a routine meeting. It's an opportunity to secure the legacy of the 13th Parliament, to deliver decisively on the 5th session agenda, and to formulate and finalize the legislation and regulations that will govern the transition to the next Parliament. The people of Kenya expect leadership, foresight, and integrity from us at all times. Let us not lose sight of the fact that the preparedness of the nation for the forthcoming elections is a matter of national interest. This House has a constitutional responsibility to ensure that the legal and institutional framework for elections inspires public confidence, credibility, and peaceful participation. Where gaps exist, we must act decisively, guided by the Constitution, judicial pronouncements, and the lessons from previous electoral cycles. I urge you, honorable members, to engage candidly, listen attentively, and live here renewed in purpose, so that as we go to these next sessions, we give the country confidence, we give the country hope, and we go to the elections better than we have done previously. You've seen the challenges that have gripped the African continent. All countries going to elections are on tenterhooks. Let's, for a change, go to the next elections in the mood that we had in this country in 2002, where after elections, President Kibaki's election was hailed as ushering in Kenyans as the most hopeful people on earth. And I'm sure we can recreate that. Honorable members, with those many remarks, I now declare this retreat and all the proceedings officially opened. We shall all sit here. I encourage you, please participate meaningfully and fully. We will, after this, I'm told we have a photo session out there. When we finish, please come back and we start the next sessions immediately, so that we can be able to cover as much ground as we possibly can. Nawashukuru sana, Mungu awabariki, muendelee kuombea nchi yetu, muombee rais wetu na mjiombee wenyewe. Mambo iwe nyepesi ikifika 2027. Thank you.
Another round of applause for our speaker. I think, Mr. Speaker, the only other time I've seen you disappointed, apart from our performance in Mombasa, is lack of quorum. So I'm happy that we have redeemed our name in terms of sports this time. Honorable members, the photo session will be outside, will be guided by the protocol. Kindly follow this tall man. You cannot miss him. Matiko will be guiding us. We will have 4 photos. Photo number 1 will be all members of parliament plus leadership. So kindly, when we exit, let us go straight. Photo number 2 will be leadership plus committee chairs and their vice chairs. Photo number 3 will be leadership plus Kewopa. Photo number 4 will be leadership plus all staff of the National Assembly. Thank you very much, and let us come back immediately after the photo.
So both sides, either way, juu ama chini we are fading.